This afternoon, we filed a federal lawsuit in the Eastern District of Virginia challenging what has been referred to as the Muslim ban.
Travel ban fallout, protests from coast to coast blasting the president's executive order, plus the federal agency head who says she will not enforce it.
There still might be something for the USA, and it's wide of the post.
Transforming San Diego into a soccer city, the game plan to give the Q a major league makeover. And what may be a final curtain call, the new challenge for keeping the arts alive in San Diego. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. Not on my watch. That's what the acting U.S. Attorney General is saying today about the Justice Department defending President Donald Trump's executive order on immigration. Sally Yates is a holdover from the Obama administration. The New York Times reports she's ordered the Justice Department not to defend it, saying she's not convinced it's legal. A Muslim civil rights group is also questioning the legality of the president's order. The Council on American Islamic Relations filed a federal lawsuit today arguing it violates the First Amendment bar on preferential treatment for religion by appearing to favor Christian over Muslim refugees.
Let me be clear. This is not a Muslim ban, simply. It is a Muslim exclusion order.
The president's order sparked protests at airports across the country, including here at Lindbergh Field. Demonstrations about the president's executive order continued on the campus of UC San Diego today. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh has the report.
We're at the campus of UCSD where starting at about noon, anywhere from 4 to I'd say at least 600 students began protesting the travel ban that was put into place by the Trump administration over the weekend. Earlier we talked to one of the organizers who said that there has not been a recent history of student activism here at the campus, but that seems to have changed over the last week or so.
From Palestine to Mexico, these border walls have got to go. From Palestine to Mexico, these border walls have got to go.
It's affecting our community in a huge way, and I think that's part of what gets everyone out.
These are not numbers. These are real humans.
Gita Zadegi is a UC San Diego student and daughter of Iranian immigrants. She holds dual citizenship and travels back and forth to Iran to see family. Right now, she feels in limbo.
There's just a lot of hostility going on, and it's not something that I want to deal with. You know, I'd rather protest from home than try and go back and risk not being able to come back.
No hate, no fear. Refugees are welcome here, no hate.
So after assembling at the Geisel Library, students began walking through the campus here, picking up many more students as they came. Reporting from the campus of UCSD, Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
A San Diego scientist says Trump's immigration orders are affecting his ability to travel for work and research. He warns these actions could have a chilling effect on science in the U.S. UC San Diego global health professor Wael Adalami says he has a green card and a New Zealand citizenship, but he was born in Iraq. His work on global health issues has taken him around the world, including countries like Mozambique, Ecuador, and Jordan. Now he's avoiding travel out of concern he won't be let back in the country.
I'm not going to take, these chances if people just are using my country of origin or birth as a criteria, which is absolutely unacceptable. And, I don't see any merit for it. I don't think it really protects the United States.
Aldalami says his in-laws and relatives are currently outside the country, and he's not sure when he'll be able to make it back into the U.S. The immigration ban has halted San Diego's resettlement program. David Murphy is the executive director of the International Rescue Committee. He says refugees are already the most vetted group of people coming into the U.S. The process involves 15 agencies, including Homeland Security, and takes years.
And yet, refugees are being singled out as terrorists and potential terrorists, where this is a total miscommunication and misperception of who refugees are. Refugees are people just like you and me that want a better life for their family. Nobody wants to be a refugee. You are forced to be a refugee. You had to flee your home because of violence. You feared for your life.
Last year, more than 3,500 refugees were settled in San Diego County. The U.S. refugee program has focused on people needing the most protection, such as members of a persecuted minority group. Those numbers show how San Diego has played a critical role with easing the humanitarian crisis worldwide. The dean of UC San Diego School of Global Policy and Strategy has taken even a closer look at the issue.
But this is one way in which we as a community have had a big impact on the world stage. We have reached out and helped individuals who've been subject to horrific abuse and violence at home.
Tomorrow is the last day to sign up for insurance coverage under Covered California. Officials are encouraging residents to sign up despite concerns over federal action to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
Everyone in Washington, from President Trump on down, say repeal and replace. And they also say no one's going to lose their coverage.
Any changes to the Affordable Care Act could impact insurance coverage for some 5 million Californians. President Trump's staff may dismantle the National Endowment for the Arts. That's a federal agency that has funded art performance research and accessibility since 1965. Reporter Brad Racino with our media partner iNewsSource looked at what that would mean for San Diego organizations. Brad, the NEA funds different art programs through grants. Can you give us a few examples of where exactly that money goes locally?
Sure. Names that might ring a bell with viewers would be the La Jolla Music Society's Summerfest series, the Old Globe's New Voices program, and the San Diego Asian Film Festival. Last year, 19 different arts organizations received almost $400,000 in NEA funding.
So if this funding were to dry up, what would happen here? Would all of our arts organizations be in trouble?
No, they wouldn't. The grants average around $25,000. So for large institutions such as the San Diego Opera or San Diego Symphony that have budgets in the millions of dollars, it's not going to make or break them. They'd need to find new ways of raising that money, sure, but popular programs would most likely continue. Small organizations would definitely feel a pinch, though. I spoke with Ruben Valenzuela, who is the artistic director and founder of one of San Diego's smaller arts organizations, the Bach Collegium San Diego. He recently received his first NEA grant for $10,000. Here's what he had to say about the grants drying up.
If it went away, at least for BCSD, this organization, I think it would be a step in the back, knocking us back in the sense that that is a stamp of approval that we just got. It was giving us some sense of propulsion forward. I think it would have, or I think it still has the potential to open the doors to other grants and other granting agencies. I think there's a lot of cachet that the NEA holds.
So it sounds like there's a lot more to the grant than just money.
Exactly right, and that's what I kept hearing again and again from different directors and artists interviewed, that these grants do many things aside from direct funding. For one, they act as a stamp of approval for an organization. It means they've made it to the big time. Second, they help organizations leverage new grants and opportunities. The NEA told me each dollar funded actually ends up raising $9 from public and private donors. Lastly, the grants promote collaboration, so you'll see the San Diego Opera working with high schoolers or universities studying the effects of arts in prison programs.
So what can be done? How can viewers get involved?
If they want to support the NEA, they can go sign an online petition at the White House website or reach out to their local elected officials. Or if they agree with President Trump's staff and want to see it abolished, they can reach out to those same officials and let them know their stance.
Thanks, iNewsSource reporter Brad Racino. We continue to monitor developments from the president's first 100 days in office. We'll have more updates and analysis on air and online at kpbs.org. San Diego is a step closer to a major redevelopment of the Qualcomm Stadium site in Mission Valley. Developers and local officials presented an official application for a Major League Soccer expansion team. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson has more.
San Diego launched its bid for a Major League Soccer team on the deck of the USS Midway. They hope to land one of 4 expansion franchises that will be awarded in the next couple of years.
Local soccer fans didn't miss the chance to let Major League Soccer and city officials know how they felt. The fans sported colorful banners and cheered at every mention of soccer.
Are we ready to bring Major League Soccer to San Diego? Yeah!
San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulkner says the city is a good fit.
San Diego is a great sports town. San Diego is a great soccer town. Am I right? Yeah! So, of course, what you're seeing is just a small taste of the passion, of the commitment, and people here of all ages.
Dan Garber is the commissioner of Major League Soccer. He spent the weekend in San Diego and got a chance to see the response to an exhibition game by the men's national team at Qualcomm Stadium. More than 20,000 fans turned out.
There still might be something for the USA, and it's wide of the post.
He officially accepted the city's bid for an expansion team on Monday.
It's just starting here. There's no doubt in my mind that any city could really come out and support our league, but it seems like we have something very special in San Diego. Yep. Second is a young and diverse city.
But the field is crowded. San Diego is one of 12 cities publicly pushing for an MLS team. The La Jolla-based developers know they have to sell the idea to both the league and the city of San Diego. Businessman Mike Stone leads the investment group. He stresses that the new $200 million soccer stadium will not require public funding. Stone says the stadium is part of a $1 billion redevelopment project he's proposing for the Qualcomm Stadium site in Mission Valley.
We can solve a number of difficult fiscal issues for the city of San Diego and at the same time solve tricky questions for San Diego State. We have the opportunity to help the environment and the local community building 55 acres of much-needed parkland.
Stone says the park would be the first item on the agenda, not the last. But there are a lot of hurdles to overcome. The city has to approve the redevelopment project, and that requires a complete plan with all the details spelled out. City officials are talking with the developers, but City Council member Scott Sherman says he's approaching the project with guarded optimism.
You know, for so long we've been trying to deal with another team and another ownership that hasn't engaged the city. This team has engaged the city, found out our concerns ahead of time, and then fashioned their proposal that way.
Developers hope to gather enough signatures by spring, so the council either has to approve the idea or put it before voters. The league says only bids that show a path to a new stadium built for soccer will get serious consideration.
The first two franchises will be revealed this fall. There is no timetable for the next two expansion franchises to be announced. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
The age of debtors' prisons may be over, but some say punishing the have-nots is not. KPBS investigative reporter Amitha Sharma says the cost of being poor in one San Diego County traffic court may be getting expensive.
Timothy Lehman was talking on his cell phone while driving when he got caught.
I knew that, I was responsible for the infraction, and it was ultimately my responsibility to pay it.
Lehman says with fines and penalties combined, his ticket was around $600, money he did not have. He was married with 2 children, attending school, and receiving a $3,000 monthly stipend from the GI Bill. He says he just needed flexibility because at the time, Lehman was a Navy SEAL candidate who had gotten sidelined.
So I was injured and had back surgery. Also, I had, prior to that, a knee surgery and a broken leg from an avulsion fracture that I suffered in basic underwater demolition school in Coronado. It's hard, just to pay the bills, and let alone, exorbitant fine.
So Lehman asked Commissioner Corinne Miesfeld in Kearny Mesa's traffic court for a fine reduction or a way to work it off by volunteering his time. He says he explained his medical and financial predicament. Lehman says he was looking for compassion and understanding, but got none from Miesfeld.
I almost felt that the commissioner at the time was almost cold. It was almost, it's robotic in a sense, kind of. Just no sympathy, no empathy.
Lehman's license was suspended, and it took him a year to pay off the ticket and late fines. A court spokeswoman said Miesfeld could not comment, citing judicial code. Insiders and lawyers tell KPBS that Lehman's case is not unusual.
I'm just seeing the poor being punished for being poor. And it's heartbreaking.
Liz Aronson is a criminal defense lawyer who works on traffic cases.
You have folks who are good, decent, hardworking human beings who, did nothing less than or nothing more than a traffic violation that, quite frankly, we all do several times a day every time we get on the road. They just happen to get caught, and they just happen not to have the money to pay the fines.
She says she's seen commissioners at 3 of the county's other traffic courts try to work with people who can't afford to pay off their tickets. But she says Kearney Mesa commissioners routinely don't give poor people hearings where they could show their inability to pay. Aronson says often if they are late on a payment just once, they have to pay a $315 civil assessment and their licenses are suspended. Frank Mercural's license was suspended when he says he fell behind on traffic tickets and assessments totaling $3,000. He was nabbed driving to his job after his license was suspended. His car was impounded and then he had to pay more fines and fees.
It's robbery. It's basically they're crooks. You want my real opinion? It's a lot of taking people's money.
Lawyer Aronson says the region's court system is still recovering from $40 million in cutbacks after the 2008 recession.
I've heard numerous judges over the years call the traffic courts their cash cow, and have also made statements on the record about how they needed to enforce fines because that's how the court received its funding.
Not true, says San Diego County Superior Court's presiding judge, Jeffrey Barton. He also disputes Aronson's assertion that Kearney Mesa traffic commissioners are less sensitive to the plight of the poor.
Not only have I not heard that, it's difficult for me to answer a hypothetical situation on someone has said. I can tell you that it is my understanding, both from discussing procedures with commissioners and from actually sitting in the courtrooms, that they are in fact giving those accommodations.
Barton says commissioners are following the law on fees and fines set by state lawmakers.
The San Diego Superior Court doesn't punish poor people because they are poor.
He says all commissioners can offer people flexibility if their financial situation has changed and they can't make payments even after their case is decided. But again, Aronson says that's not happening in Kearney Mesa, especially once a case goes to collections.
So you're stuck dealing with a collection agency that, quite frankly, has no motivation whatsoever to help you or to set things right.
Alliance One handles collections for San Diego Traffic Court. Tomorrow, we'll look at complaints against the agency over how it's handling an amnesty program for people behind on their traffic ticket payments. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
Inmates at a state prison in Otay Mesa now have access to a year-long program where they can gain entrepreneurial skills. The program even ends with a pitching session like the TV show Shark Tank. KPBS reporter Claire Tragesser has the story.
The program is called Defy Ventures, and it's already well underway in prisons across the country. But when San Diegan Neil Centurio learned about it, he decided to bring it to Donovan State Prison. He's the CEO of tech firm Blackbird Ventures and husband to City Councilwoman Barbara Bree, who also worked in the tech startup world.
It was impressive in that lots of programs exist when you get out, but there's very few programs for when you're in.
Centuria says over the next year, about 50 inmates will write a business plan and present it to a panel of executives. In other prisons, inmates who went through the Defy Ventures program launched 44 businesses. Claire Tragesser, KPBS News.
It feels like July in January, but we may be seeing an end to this warming trend. Julia Wyden explains in tonight's forecast.
Hey, thanks so much. Wishing you a good Monday evening. Your headlines in the weather, talking about it getting a little cooler, but that's not going to be chilly or anything. It's just going to be a little more seasonable. Temperatures are going to come down to near average after our warm day that we had. When it comes to the threat for rain, not looking at a big chance. In fact, if we do get any rain, it won't be until the middle towards the end of the week. Satellite and radar shows clear, quiet conditions over our area. Some clouds well off to the north over San Francisco, but around town, everything looking a-okay here. Tonight, clear skies. Temperatures will be in the low 50s. We've got temperatures farther to the north in the 40s, though. Poway at 47, Oceanside at 45 degrees there. The setup for Tuesday will have high pressure and control, more of an onshore wind, which is why those temperatures are going to be coming down a little bit. We had an offshore breeze during the day today, which meant for warmer temperatures. Okay, temperatures on Tuesday. At lunchtime, we are going to be in the low 70s, so again, coming down a little bit. Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we'll drop back down to the 50s and 40s. Then into Wednesday, the high temperatures continue to dip a little bit. We'll be in the 60s for highs. Poway at 68, Alpine at 64 degrees, Chula Vista at 71. And then we'll dip again back to the 50s and 40s as we head into our early Thursday morning hours. You can see these temperatures really not too bad, just a lot cooler than where we have been recently. Let's talk about the futurecast because I want to point out that potential, that small potential for showers. 7 p.m. on Wednesday, still nice and clear. So for the next couple of days, not expecting a whole lot to happen. We will have some clouds building in from the northwest as we go through Thursday, and that could lead to, again, the chance for some showers. May see some of that along the coast, but I don't expect any kind of a washout. Any of those major rains will be well off to the north. Here's a look at the extended outlook. Temperatures are going to be in the low 70s on Tuesday at the coast, in the 60s from there on out. And as we take you to areas farther inland, upper 70s on Tuesday, going to be nice and sunny. We will have partly sunny skies on Thursday. Again, not expecting much of a chance for rain here. A little bit cooler for Friday and Saturday with those temperatures in the upper 60s. Overnight lows in the 40s. Mountain outlook, 59 degrees on Tuesday, sunny and nice. Getting a bit cooler with each passing day by Thursday. That high temperature will be at 55. Friday, the temperature will be at 52 degrees. And again, not looking at much of a threat for rain here. If we do get any showers, they'll likely be farther to the north and closer to the coast. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Julia Wyden.
Christopher Ashley celebrates 10 years as artistic director at the La Jolla Playhouse. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando spoke with Ashley about his tenure at the Playhouse during a break from rehearsals of Freaky Friday, which opens tomorrow.
La Jolla Playhouse's mission statement includes a line about being a safe harbor for the unsafe and surprising. Those words are on the wall at the Playhouse offices, and Christopher Ashley takes them to heart.
So I think that there's a desire to play with form, to bite into whatever's happening in the culture right now. Many of the plays have a political aspect, or they have a social awareness and cultural relevance that they're aspiring to.
March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom Headquarters, Bayek speaking.
He's also inspired by another part of the mission statement that says you always have to be looking for what's new and what's next.
I love new work. So since I've been here, we've created the DNA series. I've continued with the Page to Stage program, all these ways of developing new work.
UT theater critic James Ebert appreciates that commitment.
He's really very serious about building American theater from the ground up. So we're talking about commissioning plays there, developing them over sometimes a period of several years.
Then reaping the rewards of shows like Memphis and Now Come From Away gain national attention by going to Broadway. Ebert also notes that Ashley has a knack for making us look at the classics with fresh eyes.
He did a production of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, but the idea was that the whole thing was upside down. So they actually staged this Shakespeare play with props that were kind of hanging from the ceiling. The idea of it was that love sort of turns you topsy-turvy, literally head over heels.
One of Ashley's innovations at the Playhouse has been Without Walls, also known as WOW.
I also have a real love of site-specific theater, so the WOW program has always been near and dear to my heart. The idea is it's theater not inside the traditional brick and mortar of a theater space, it's out in the world.
Ebert says WOW has brought fun, exciting theater to San Diego.
There was one piece where you were blindfolded and taken all around the whole Playhouse Theater District, kind of under the conceit that you were on this tour through a village in India.
Ashley has also provided the Playhouse with great leadership, says Margaret McBride, chair of the Board of Trustees.
And leadership by being inclusive, not getting the sense that he's telling everyone what to do, but by bringing out the best qualities in everyone who's involved in something.
Watching him in a rehearsal room, it doesn't matter if you're an A-list celebrity who's starring in the show or you're a high school student intern who's there to just watch. Chris engages with you, and Chris wants to know what you think.
Actress Emma Hunton stars in Freaky Friday that Ashley is currently directing.
He's really great about letting you try something a couple of times, even if it's not the right thing. He'll let you really work it out in your own head so it makes sense to you. And then he'll kind of come in and like add the finishing touches to it. And it really makes you feel like you have a say and that you're being heard.
But when Ashley chooses to speak, McBride says it's usually memorable. She printed out something he said from a meeting after last November's presidential election. Here she quotes Ashley.
One of the things that theater does beautifully is invite people into a room to think about lives, stories, and society together.
Which raises the question of what lies ahead for Ashley and the Playhouse in light of potential cuts to the arts under the Trump administration.
I think he does face a really important challenge to think about the kind of stories that need to be told against the backdrop of this administration.
But such challenges excite Ashley.
As I'm looking at plays in the last month or two since the election, I spend a lot of time thinking about what kinds of plays could bring people together, what kinds of plays create dialogue, create community, as opposed to just inflame division.
He says he looks forward to the next 4 or 8 years with a focus on community and activism, and with a fearlessness about tackling issues that are important to him. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.